Well, fresh off the back of yesterday's success, we are the League Cup winners for this season because that's the big one. But there is a secondary cup competition in English football, and we have a chance to book a spot at Wembley in that one too. In today's episode, it's the FA Cup quarter-final against Huddersfield. We are in incredible form. It would be nice to make Wembley our home this season. That felt dirty. Hello and welcome to part 128 of It's Coming Home. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have that FA Cup semi-final, quarter-final. FA Cup quarter-final. That feels like counting chickens before they're hatched. Against Huddersfield, we've also got a league game against Millwall. Since you were last with me, our form has been nothing short of brilliant. We've won a lot of consecutive matches. I don't understand how we can go from that form to this form in the same season. But we go into this FA Cup quarter-final in great form. Huddersfield are in terrible form. You would think we're favourites. I don't really like being favourites, though. This is how the league looks at the moment. We're in 10th place, first team in England to qualify for Europe, as you can see. We are safe, 45 points from 32 games. Winning 5 consecutive league games makes a big difference when it comes to escaping a relegation battle. And we're just settled nicely into mid-table. We've not got a chance of finishing in Europa League qualification spots, and we don't need to because we've already qualified. We're also no chance at all of being sucked back into a relegation battle. So we're kind of just going about our business in the league. We're going to finish mid-table, and that's fine. But it would be nice to add the FA Cup to our trophy cabinet alongside the League Cup. And this is the team we're putting out there against Huddersfield to get one step closer towards doing that. We do have a couple of injury and international call-up issues. I don't know why there's international matches going on FA Cup quarter-final day. It seems silly. I also don't know why I can't just show you my senior squad. There we go. So we've got Rivier's suspended. Harrison is also suspended, which is why we're having to play Bishop as a holding midfielder. Van der Horst is injured. Adrio's injured. Traore is away on international duty. Kyle Taylor not fit. We're kind of bare bones a little bit at the point where Mick Powell almost had to make it onto the bench, but not quite. So we're going with Horvat in goal, a back four of Pagano, Noble, Sands and Wells Askew. Bishop playing at the base of midfield. It was a coin flip between him and Torres. I've gone for Bishop. We might switch him over with Torres during the match. Samuel also in the midfield. Manu then behind Kano and Sir Anthony Harris, who is getting a little run of games back in the team again in the absence of Adrio. And Traore would have been the other obvious choice, but he's run off to play for Burkina Faso in a friendly, and I didn't withdraw him from it. I feel like I probably should have done. When he was called up, it didn't occur to me that he'd actually be away on the match day. I thought he was just going off for normal. I should probably check those kind of details in future. Right, let's have a look. I want you to ignore the praise in the media, just go out and play your natural game. I think that is a good team talk in the circumstances. Huddersfield are having a horrible time of it. Their form was described as woeful going into this game, whereas ours is excellent. It's got upset written all over it. I'm fully expecting our season to kind of be over in a minute because it's gone too well over the last 10 or 12 matches. The form we were in going into that run was awful, and I do expect the poor form to return before the end of the season, especially as our players are dropping like flies. But here is Bishop on the edge of the area, finds Torres over to Samuel, back to Pagano. Cross comes in towards Anthony Harris but doesn't quite get there. Bishop collects, finds Torres again, and we look to build again through this midfield three. I did toy with the idea of playing a flat midfield three today, but whenever I've done that recently, both in this series and we did it in the stream series with Brøndby as well, playing the flat midfield three doesn't seem to work as well as playing the diamond with a central midfielder out of position. I think the match engine just needs that holding midfielder there for some reason, especially with fullbacks pushing on the way they are. But as I expected, we have gone behind in this game because, goodness me, as football manager, love an upset. 1-0 down after 18 minutes, and I think it's time for 10 minutes of passion. We'll just see if we can grab an equaliser immediately, and if we can't, we're going to get our passion on Bishop finds Torres. Torres has come quite deep considering where the rest of the midfield is sitting and doesn't seem to really know what to do with it. Finds Wells Askew, who finds Manu, and Pagano's in a lot of space on this left-hand side. Cross comes in, doesn't find any of our players, and Torres with a wild shot from the edge of the area, and it's time for 10 minutes of passion as we need to find our way back into this game. 25 minutes in, we've had 70% of the possession, but Huddersfield have the goal. And I guess that's the most important part. Torres now with a free kick floats over towards Manu, and Manu just over with the header. And we're getting closer. We have absolutely dominated Huddersfield in this match. We are comfortably the better team, but Anthony Harris is showing the frustration that we're all feeling. We just don't seem to have been able to grab a goal in that first half. Right, team talk. I think we need to get aggressive. Come on, lads, show a bit of desire. Exactly. This is a massive opportunity. The semi-final draw has already happened. We'll be facing, if we get there, either Manchester City or Norwich. Norwich, just like we talked about in the League Cup draw, Norwich are a championship team. Man City are a team that we always seem to be able to beat. So if we can find a way past Huddersfield, we've got a very good chance of making it into the FA Cup final. But we need to not mess up this match. Harris forcing a save out of the Huddersfield keeper, and we're bombarding them but not getting anywhere. Sands now with the header and scores almost from nowhere. The free kick's floated over from Torres. It didn't feel particularly threatening, but Cesar Sands has rose above everybody else at that far post and directed his header into the back of the net, and it's 1-1 on 56 minutes, and all of a sudden I feel alive again. Let's go and grab another one immediately. Bishop now plays it across to Pagano, who's in a lot of space, but just kicks it into a Huddersfield player. Torres now, we try and build again through him and Bishop and Wells Askew on the right-hand side. Terrible attempt at a cross, and now Huddersfield can break at us, and we need to get a tackle in here, and this is where having Bishop as a holding midfielder is a problem, because he's not a tackler at all. That's where Torres would be a little bit more useful there. But Bishop comes deep to collect from the keeper. And again, coming through Torres. Torres seems to be involved in a lot. Wells Askew down the right-hand side. Cross comes in. Again, our crossing has been poor today, but Manu is getting better and better every time we see him. 8th goal of the season now for Manu, and it's a beautiful effort from the edge of the area. Manu actually starting that move from inside our own half, playing the pass to Wells Askew, and then just continuing his run. So he's there to collect the clearance and stick it into the back of the net. What a goal from Manu. And it's 2 goals in 4 minutes for home, and we've turned this tie on its head. Let's have a look what we've got on the bench. I think it's substitution o'clock. Anthony Harris not playing very well at all. Should we have a look at Batella? We have got Matondo on the bench as well. Batella is the latest high potential youngster that we brought in the transfer window. 20 years old. Does have a lot of potential though. It seems like a mad game to bring him on to have a look at him, but we'll do it. I don't want to play him as a target man because I don't like target men, but he can be a complete forward, and that means we can release Kano again as the advance forward that he's been playing during his little purple patch. Bishop is not playing particularly well. We can bring Bogdan on for him, drop Torres back. Bogdan hasn't appeared for us hardly at all this season. I thought he was going to be a superstar when he arrived in the January transfer window last year. Hasn't really lived up to how I hyped him up, and this is a big opportunity for him to force his way back into the team as part of the current injury crisis. Bogdan really was a signing brought in when I was planning to play a flat midfield 3, and we kind of don't need him if we're only going to play 2 in midfield because we've got several good players ahead of him, which is why we've not really seen much of him. But he did show the odd flash of ability when he was with us last season, and that was awful. So I remember why I cast him aside now, because that was just terrible. Pagano with a poor clearance, and Huddersfield have got us under pressure a little bit here, and we do need to get this ball clear. But Huddersfield working it through us nicely again, and Horvat might as well not be there, but the crossbar, luckily, is a better goalkeeper than he is, and the ball is kept out. But Huddersfield just pick it up again. This is like a training ground exercise, and now Samuel is forced into making the foul, and we need someone to come on and give us a little spark of life. And I don't know, I guess that the only someone we've got who could possibly do that for us, Actually, I was going to bring on Chardney Matondo, but Pagano is tired, on a yellow card, not playing well, and we've got Grant Brown on the bench. So we're actually going to do that. And no, we're not going to fiddle with anything there. I just hope we've got enough quality to see the game out, but we do seem to be really struggling. They've got a man over on this right-hand side now, and then 2 men over on the other side. Horvat with a good double save after I criticised him earlier, but we are absolutely under the cosh here a little bit. I don't understand how this has happened. We've got our centre-backs taking throw-ins on both sides. That's all gone complete. I need to fix that. I've been saying that for 4 episodes. Manu now forces the save, and Botella on his debut, Vicente Rafael Botella in the FA Cup quarter-final, 13 minutes into his first game in English football, might have just booked us another game at Wembley in the FA Cup semi-final. Have we got a new star on our hands? Or is he just, he's just reacted quickly to Manu being a bit special again. But either way, with 7 minutes to go, it's Holme 3, Huddersfield 1, and that should be enough. Bogdan now with the corner. It ends up with Torres, who finds Botella. Botella's scored again. Okay, we could say the first one is just a quick reaction tap-in. That one is an excellent goal, and I think we might have unearthed a little gem here, because Botella scored twice on his debut, and that one is a superb finish. Holme 4, Huddersfield 1. We are back at Wembley again tomorrow for our second appearance of the season, hoping to make it 3 times at Wembley in a year, and Samuel makes it 5, and this feels a little unfair on Huddersfield now. 5-1 to Holme. We didn't deserve 5, but I'm not going to argue and complain that we got them. Botella has come on and been brilliant, and that's just a nice little finish from Samuel. Kano actually does well to nod that down to him. It's not a clearance, which I thought it was. It's Kano just cushioning the header down to Samuel, who's in a little pocket of space, and it's a lovely finish from Marvin Samuel, and that scoreline has made it look a lot easier than actually watching the match made it look. But we are in the FA Cup semi-final. I don't know yet who we're going to be playing. I think we probably need a passionate team talk, because we were behind and we've done brilliantly to turn it around. But I don't know if the other game was being played now, or if we're going to have to wait to find out who we've got in the next round. Stages. What's R mean? Match. Oh, replay. Okay, so we're waiting for a Manchester City Norwich replay. So there's still a chance we could be in a semi-final against a championship team, which would be magnificent. But for now, we shall wait, because we've got a little bit of a gap for the international break. By the time we play Millwall, we should know who we've got in the FA Cup semi-final and when it's going to happen. Well. Norwich have knocked Manchester City out of the FA Cup on penalties. So in the FA Cup semi-final, to be fair, they are top of the Championship now. And they are having, I would say, an acceptable season. And they are going to be in the Premier League again next year. But we have an FA Cup semi-final coming up against Norwich. And that will be tomorrow's video. Now we play Millwall. We've just had a passing of the torch between these two matches. Sir Anthony Harris, Mick Powell, no longer captain and vice-captain. I think Lerick Fernandez was vice-captain, but he went out on loan, and then I made Sir Mick Powell vice-captain again. But we've moved them both on. They're still at the club, but not likely to play again anytime soon. Sir Anthony Harris is now injured for the rest of the season. It was time to appoint a new captain. So we have a new captain in the shape of Carl Bishop, and a new vice-captain in the shape of Cesar Adrio. And also, Cesar Sanz has done a Mick Powell. He's now the key player at the club, considered a leading player for most Premier League sides. We just had one of those coach reports through. Apparently playing him at centre-back has done him some good. Who'd have thought? So this is the team for the Millwall game. I don't think we've made any changes other than Adrio coming back in for Harris, who's injured. Other than that, I think it is the same team that we played in that FA Cup quarter-final. According to the actual fixture list thing, this is supposed to be the day we play the FA Cup semi-final. I believe Wembley was booked, but Norwich and City only played their semi-final 2 days ago. So instead we get to play a league game, and I did say in the last episode this would hopefully be the game where we secure our safety. We've already done that anyway, but mathematically we can actually secure our safety. We're the most informed team in the Premier League at the moment, which is mad. So we're favourites for a reason. Go out there, Yeah, let's do that one. We'll assertively do that one. A win mathematically guarantees us safety, even though we're already there on 46 points after 32 games. It would be nice to have it mathematically done so we can focus purely on knocking Norwich out of the FA Cup and booking a spot in our first ever FA Cup final, which would be double mad with bells on. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. That is for tomorrow. Today is all about just getting the job done here against Millwall, who are actually in decent form themselves, doing the best they can to battle their way out of the relegation battle that they find themselves in. Said battle a lot there. I think it said pre-match that they're the 8th most informed team in the Premier League. So they're scratching and clawing and trying to stay in this league, and it looks like they're doing a decent job of it in this first half, because we're going to be going into half time at 0-0, and I would like to go and grab a goal. Really, I don't want to lose our momentum. We've been winning consecutive games for a while, and while we're still in the FA Cup, I want to keep doing that. Let's calmly say we've been the better team here. We haven't, though, really. I guess we have. Stats-wise, we've had more shots, more possession. We're ahead on every stat, but we just haven't really threatened in front of goal at all so far. We've got Chardonnay Matondo on the bench, who can come on if needed, but we shall see if we reach that point. Adrio has just got his 21st goal of the season, celebrating that's his first goal as vice-captain of the club. Who knew during that transfer special when he came in on loan, and I said, we don't even need another striker. I don't know why my assistant managers brought him in on loan. Who knew that by the end of the season he'd be a permanent home player with 21 goals under his belt and our vice-captain? He was a pretty good side. We have to credit Costas for that one. He's done pretty well there. Rivier's picked up an injury. That's a problem. Upper body injury. We have got Wells Askew knocking around, but of all the backup players we've got, Wells Askew is probably the weakest one. He's a player who wasn't really getting into the team for Brentford in the division below. So, not ideal. I wonder if we can't. I know we can't recall Gregson. Right, Torres is also going to come off. Bring Bogdan on that right-hand side of the midfield too. And it would be nice to finish things off here. Should we have 10 minutes of passion? I'd like a second one. There you go. That's fired them up. And what does it do to our league position at the moment? Puts us up to 9th place, which is ridiculous. Nosebleed territory for us. Bogdan now to Manu. Manu just creates so much space for himself every time he has the ball. Samuel back to Bogdan again. Out to Sands. I don't know why Sands is all the way out here. He's a centre-back. Samuel to Bogdan. Bogdan finds Adrio. We've got Wells Askew in space. We find him. He crosses. Adrio's there again. He's second of the game. And that should be that. Adrio, 22 goals now this season. What a bargain he's been. Costas, you are a good director of football. I've criticised you at times. You've done all right with him. You've done all right with the loan signing of Pagano as well, who has allowed Sands to move over and play at centre-back. I'm actually thinking of making Pagano permanent. We've got a future fee of 13 million set up for him. I don't think we're going to find a better left-back than Amir Pagano for less than 13 million quid. So I think our first order of business this summer will be to make that deal permanent. But we'll worry about that when summer arrives. For now, let's get Matondo on, who these days likes to be an advanced forward. I remember back in the day, back in the Championship, when he got his 100 goals over 3.5 years for us, he was a complete forward. Not so much anymore. Wants to be an advanced forward now. Now he doesn't have Anthony Harris to do his running for him. He decided to start running himself, clearly. But that should wrap that game up. Poor old Millwall put up a good fight, but they've just come up against a much better team today, which is nice to be able to say. We're not scratching and clawing the way they are. We're actually a better quality football team than the teams down in the relegation zone, which I'm hoping means that we can stop worrying about relegation now. Although, obviously, first season in the Europa League is always a challenging one. Yeah, let's say that was a bit of a let-off because of the strain it places on the squad. So I won't get too complacent just yet. If we make it through next year, I will believe we're an established Premier League side, and then we're in that final act of the series where we're pushing on to become the best team in the world rather than just trying to stay in the Premier League. That's a bit of a problem. 4 weeks out for Riviere. I think that means he'll miss the Norwich game in the next episode. He might be back in time. But that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. It will be Norwich. In fact, we'll do Huddersfield and Norwich, because then if we lose, at least we've got Man United and Chelsea as the final 2 league games of the season. And we'll figure something out from there. So Huddersfield and Norwich tomorrow. Fingers crossed. More joy at Wembley, and a second final of the season can be booked. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.